the way end at Bramall Lane after Arsenal's 1-0 defeat by Sheffield United. A very, very frustrating performance. Arsenal didn't play well at all. They were disjointed. They were lacking cohesion, lacking strategy. The players just didn't perform as well as they should have done. The back line looked shaky. There was no dovetailing between the forward players. A lot of attackers just didn't play as well as they could have done. The defence wasn't particularly good, and you contrast that with Sheffield United, who played 5 at the back for a lot of the game, and they look so solid. You can't knock Chris Wilder for what he's doing. He's got them really well organised, and to be arguably they wanted it more. And I hate saying that because you obviously want Arsenal to play with pride and passion, and they didn't tonight. They looked really, really disappointing. There's a lot of stuff about Unai Emery. A lot of fans saying they want him out. I'm not at that stage yet. I don't think Gooner Fanzine TV is either. But there's a lot of questions that have to be asked, and there's no cohesion there. There's no strategy. Playing out from the back is all well and good if you can do it properly. But if you can't do it properly, you've got to have a plan B. You've got to be pragmatic. You've got to have the players playing in the right positions as well. And all through the team, that just didn't happen. Basically, it's a very, very frustrating night. Arsenal fans are very frustrated. I'm frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. Fair play to Sheffield United, but Arsenal can play so much better. Is it the manager? There's certainly questions that need to be asked. We're going to go outside now and have a bit more of a chat. We're going to catch up with Dan as well, do a bit of player ratings and other bits and pieces and have a bit of discussion really, because I'm really, really frustrated. I'll be interested to see what Dan says, and obviously you guys as well. I'm here with Dan Mountney after the game at Bramall Lane. You've just come from Unai Emery's press conference. Dan, how was it?
It was a bit of a bizarre one, to be honest, Layth. I mean, there was obviously quite a lot of questions about the poor performance. And he spoke so much about corners. I managed to ask him a question at the end where I said to him, obviously you've got a lot of players returning from injury, especially in defence. Do you feel like you know what your best side is? Because there's obviously been a lot of chopping and changing in terms of the starting 11. You see changes each week. And he started talking about corners. He started talking about Arsenal having 7 or 8 corners and Sheffield United having 12 or 13. It was an absolutely bizarre answer. And he seemed to kind of avoid the question, which was a bit weird. It almost seemed like a man unravelling in a way. It was absolutely bizarre. It was such a crazy answer. And he didn't really address any of the issues. I know obviously it's not his first language. There might be potential issues with the language barrier. It was crazy. There was no kind of answers to such a poor performance on the night. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was his general demeanour like? Was he sort of downtrodden? Was he downbeat? Was he
This is the thing with Emery. I feel like
defiant?
It's kind of one emotion the whole time. You can't really tell if he's in a defiant mood, if he's downtrodden, as you say. He just kind of seems the same all the time, and he doesn't exactly seem inspiring, especially when you need inspiration after a performance like that, because it was not good enough and not acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a bit of a educated analysis on Twitter rather than rant. Don't like to use that word, but if you look at the tactics tonight, it was tactical ineptitude in a way. You've got pace in attack. You've got people like Saka, Pepe, Aubameyang. So when you need a goal, he goes and sits on the edge of the box. When he doesn't play a player like Mesut Ozil who'll be able to unlock a defence in that situation, why not draw Sheffield United on and then play in behind them? Use the pace to get at them. Yeah. I didn't understand the tactics whatsoever, and I think there needs to be some kind of tactical adaptability. You look at, I used Luis Enrique at Barcelona as an example in 2015 when they won the Champions League. Obviously, the quality of players is vastly superior at Barcelona and in that side. But when he kind of inherited that team, he had a team that were used to playing a passing style, people like Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta. And they were used to just playing it around, playing short passes on the edge of the box and winning games that way. But he realised he had players like Neymar, Messi, Suarez, who can get in behind teams and use their pace on the counter-attack. And he changed the style, and they swept all before them. Yeah. And as I say, obviously the quality is different. Barcelona are vastly superior. But why not look at the squad you've got and realise that you're going to be best by attacking teams on the counter-attack and getting in behind, rather than knocking the ball around on the edge of the box and not really creating anything. I think they had one chance in the box in that second half, Ceballos' shot that got blocked. Yeah. But other than that, what was there? There were shots from outside the area, and that was it. Yeah. It shows a real tactical lack of kind of just knowledge and understanding of what he wants to do. There doesn't really seem to be a vision, and there was no tempo at all. I mean, Granit Xhaka for me was the real issue and has been in terms of the tempo all season. He sits deep, he doesn't move the ball quickly enough, and he's not got the pace himself to get Arsenal moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at when Guendouzi's on the ball, for example. Guendouzi was one of the players, along with Callum Chambers, who I think came away with some kind of credit from tonight. When he gets the ball, he drives on, he drives forward, as does Ceballos, as does Willock. You look at the Europa League team and the team that plays in the cup competitions, and the tempo is so much quicker. They drive at teams and they use the pace.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Premier League team with Granit Xhaka, there's none of that. He just sits there, plays the ball sideways, and plays it slowly. And if Arsenal want to improve and be the team that they can be, because they do have quality players, especially in attack, he needs to be dropped. But as captain, he's not going to be dropped, is he?
No. I mean, was he questioned on Granit Xhaka at all? Certainly the substitution.
No. There was a limited amount of questions. I think there was about 4 or 5.
But was he asked about Tierney, the team selection before the game?
No, but as I said, I kind of asked him, do you feel like you know your strongest team? Which kind of looking for an answer on that, like, yes, I want to play with whoever, or I know my strongest side, I just like to experiment, something like that. But there was none of that. It was just talking about corners, which was bizarre. And
in terms of, there's obviously been a lot of sort of chatter on Twitter about Emery out and things like that, and a lot of negative sort of talk around him. Do you think he's aware of that at the moment?
I don't know, but I feel like, considering the reactions he's got at some of the games, obviously there's been boos at some of the end of some games at half-time. There was obviously disgruntled fans this evening. I feel like he probably is aware of that and understands that he is under pressure. Whether he has the solutions and the tactics to sort that out, I don't know. Personally, at this point, I'm not Emery out, and I don't agree with this whole manager out thing. I was never Wenger out. I just thought Arsenal maybe needed a change to refresh. I feel like that should be the case in terms of looking at a manager's future. It never should be the case that I want them gone, they're rubbish, blah, blah, blah. You need sometimes to refresh things. And maybe Emery cannot take them any further because there hasn't been an improvement. I mean, you look at away performances in Arsene Wenger's last campaign, and they mirrored exactly what we had tonight. Conceding a silly goal for a defensive mistake and then playing the ball around without any tempo or direction or cutting edge. And it shows that Emery has not improved Arsenal.
I think it's 4 away wins out of 17 for Arsenal. What's your take on playing out from the back? Because it is frustrating. It doesn't look like they've progressed, as you say.
I'm not a fan. I did mention this in my play ratings for Bernd Leno especially. He looks like someone who's been told to play out from the back, which he obviously has. And sometimes that's all he's got in his mind. You look at situations where he's being pressed, or there was one in the first half where he wasn't being pressed, and he stood with the ball at his feet for about 30 to 40 seconds, not doing anything. Why not find a pass further up midfield, clip it into midfield, or just go long over the top? You've got the pace, get in behind teams.
Be more pragmatic, basically.
And if you're playing out from the back, I'm a fan of playing out from the back. Personally, I like the style, if you can do it properly, and if you have the players to do it. Like Manchester City, they have the players to do it when they've got their full squad fit. Obviously, they don't have the full squad fit at the moment, but when they've got players like Laporte and Stones at the back, they have that ability to play out because they're confident with the ball at their feet. You look at Socrates and David Luiz, and they're not. David Luiz just looks to sometimes play a ridiculous, what I'd call a Hollywood pass. Try and ping it 60 yards and get it horribly wrong, or try and play a simple pass that he gets horribly wrong. I mean, there was one in the first half that springs to mind where he tried to roll it to Socrates and he just goes out of play. You're putting pressure on yourself. You're not even letting the opposition do it for you. You're inviting pressure, and it's not a sustainable way for Arsenal to play at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not been progress as far as we can see. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Well, what's your take on players like Pepe then, who's again flattered to deceive?
With Pepe, I think, and I tweeted about this after the Man United game when he took a fair amount of stick, that he's come to a new country where he's never lived before. He doesn't speak the language, doesn't know anyone, has never played in the league before. He's got so much to adapt to, and he needs time. He needs time. And if I said this about, I used Thierry Henry as an example. He took, 8 games to score his first Arsenal goal. If Twitter would have been around when Thierry Henry was going through that run, he would have been written off. And things might have been so much different because of the pressure on him. If we just back off Pepe and let him have the chance to express himself, he'll improve. And he just needs time to adapt. We have to give time and patience. And I don't think the tactics are helping him either. You can see he's an explosive player. I mean, look at that highlight in the first half where he got the ball on the half-turn, nutmegged the defender, and he was off. That's the kind of style he needs. He needs space to run, and he needs space to get at people. Playing neat 1-2s on the edge of the box is not his game. Neither is it Aubameyang's, neither is it Saka's.
Absolutely. You've obviously done player ratings for the Gazette tonight. Just talk us through them then.
Well, Callum Chambers and Matteo Guendouzi were the only two that really came away with any kind of credit. I gave Chambers a 6.5.
Okay.
I thought he did his defensive work well and tried to get forward. Some of his deliveries were a bit questionable, but the effort was there, and you can see that. I think for himself, obviously as well as the team, but he wants to improve, and he has improved, and he wants to show that he's improved, and he's done that well. And as for Guendouzi, he's a driving force, unlike people like Xhaka. And he's improved as well. You can see he's really grown as a player in terms of his maturity and his quality. The rest of them were poor.
What did you give Xhaka just saying?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, he just kills the game for Arsenal.
Yeah, it slows it down and kills it.
It doesn't help in terms of anything. He gives away silly fouls, doesn't increase the tempo. It's not, for me, shouldn't be an Arsenal captain. You look at the leaders Arsenal have had in the past, Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams, Frank McClintock. They're leaders, they're people who are inspiring and will drive a team forward. And he's not that. And Arsenal don't have many players in the squad like that at the moment.
Yeah. Well, what was your take on him being taken off after about an hour or whatever? Because it felt to me, obviously, I don't agree with Xhaka being captain. I don't think he should start. But if he's your captain and you're taking him off after an hour, what does that say about your decision, basically?
Well,
I thought he hung him out to dry there. I mean, what was your take on that? Even though he didn't deserve to play in the first place, I didn't.
No, I don't think he deserves to start, personally. I think Torreira would be much better in that position, providing a lot more protection and he moves the ball quicker. But by taking him off, it improved Arsenal, I thought. I thought the tempo was quicker. They moved the ball around the edge of the box quicker. And they looked more threatening. Yeah, which is an acknowledgement that he's essentially made an error by picking Xhaka, not only as his defensive midfielder, but as his captain. Yeah. Where'd you go from there then, do you think? Well, he's not going to drop him, is he? No. You can't exactly drop your captain. It shows a lack of kind of confidence in your decision and confidence in him. Yeah. But he shouldn't play. He shouldn't play, in my opinion. So in terms of Emery again, as I say, there has been a lot of Twitter talk and stuff. A lot of people want him out. What's your take on that? How long do you think he's got if he carries on looking as confused and his teams look as disjointed as they have been tonight? Not long, personally. I think they'll give him to the end of the season and look at where they are. Obviously, we're 9 games in at the moment. Yeah. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Arsenal 5th, so... Yeah, we're in and around you're in and around where you want to be at the end of the season. Yeah. Things might improve. He might look at it and go, do you know what, I need to change this, I need to change that, I need to bring him into the team, I need to take him out of the team. You don't know what's going to happen in a week's time, let alone what will happen at the end of the season. Yeah. So you have to give him at least till then. Yeah. I don't think it's fair to sack a manager who's on target to achieve what he is been set to achieve, if that makes sense. Yeah. So be in the top 4, and he's there or thereabouts at the moment, isn't he? So I think you've got to give him time, but I think come the end of the season, Arsenal need to look and say, have we improved? Has he taken us forward? Has he achieved what we want to achieve? Considering the money they've spent in the summer, you've got to look at that as well. That's an important factor. Yeah. They've really kind of backed him, especially making a club record signing. Absolutely, yeah. And they need to have a look at him and say, has he taken us where we want to be? And if not, they need to find a replacement. Yeah. I personally, from my own experiences of watching him on the touchline and watching the way he works with the younger players, especially, I think Freddie Ljungberg will be the perfect man to do it. Obviously, he's not got the experience. He's an Arsenal man through and through, though. Yeah. He knows the club probably better than anyone that's there at the moment. He knows the squad, he knows the young players, and there's obviously that focus on getting the young players into the team and them being the future of the club. And I think he could be a decent man to take them forward. Obviously, the lack of experience is a concern, but... Yeah, I mean, you're right, he's an Arsenal legend. I don't know if the job would be too big for him at the moment. You see him week in, week out. I used to see him last season. I know he really excelled at under 23 level. I'm just a bit fearful that it could be sort of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer replicated at Arsenal in terms of an Arsenal legend, a United legend. That is true. But from what I've seen of him, he's really showing that promise and the way he works with players. You see him before kick-off, and during half-time, he's one-to-one talking to players, and that's what you need from a manager. Yeah, I noticed he was doing that at Saka again tonight, wasn't he? Yeah, he's kind of really taking him on as a project. You know, I think he sees maybe a lot of himself in Saka. Yeah. A lot of promise in him, because obviously he's a really talented young player. Yeah. Who I think probably has been thrown at the deep end a little bit, and that's maybe why we've seen him struggle in the past few weeks. You know, he obviously had that brilliant performance in Frankfurt. You were there, weren't you? Yeah. But he's kind of chucked him in, and he's now relying on him down that left-hand side. And I think he's probably feeling a little bit of the pressure. Obviously, he's got a massive future ahead of him, as have players like Joe Willock and Reece Nelson. Yeah. But they need to be given time, and they need to be having time out of the team to kind of, look at themselves and say, this is what I can improve, this is what I'm doing well, things like that. They need that time to analyse what they're doing. Yeah. And in terms of Emery again, I don't want to make it all about Emery, but that performance has got to have questions asked about the manager, basically, because it was so disjointed. Yeah. Do you think, I covered probably 95% of his press conferences last season, and I wasn't impressed by his communication skills in English. Has he improved at all, would you say? No, not at all. Okay. I think in his head, he knows what he wants to say in Spanish, but he just can't quite communicate in English. Yeah. And obviously the sentences are a bit disjointed. And I don't imagine those messages come across well in the dressing room either. Yeah. But purely from a press conference point of view and speaking to the press, he doesn't come across as someone who's going to inspire, who's going to drive a team on, who's really going to say to them, look, come on, we've got to sort this out. We need to improve. You're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. You can do this better.
Yeah.
That's not good enough. We need to sort this out. He doesn't strike me as someone like that. He strikes me as someone who's a pleaser. He might be a bit of a yes man in a way.
Okay, that's interesting, but it's slightly worrying as well, really, isn't it?
A little bit,
Yeah. I mean, what was your final thing that you took from tonight then, in terms of Unai Emery?
That he's not improved Arsenal at all, especially away from home.
Yeah.
I think when I tweeted, I used the word mirrored. It looked exactly like an Arsene Wenger performance, especially in his final season away from home. Don't defend well, make a mistake, concede.
Yeah.
Don't really create any chances, knock the ball around, have no tempo. It was exactly as we saw in games in Arsene Wenger's final season.
Yeah, which is very worrying in itself. That's from the horse's mouth, Dan, who's in the post-match press conference and obviously in the press box during the game. Thanks for your time, Dan. We've got a 4-hour drive back now, along with a lot of other Arsenal fans who are very, very disappointed about tonight's result. Thanks for watching Gooner Fanzine TV. Leave a comment at the bottom of this piece. It's we want to know what you're saying, basically. We've had our say. We want to know your say now. So thanks for watching on a very, very desperately disappointing night for Arsenal.